17, my mother passed away. It absolutely devastated our family. We weren't very close to my father's family at the time. And after she passed, my father kind of started bringing us to Christmas and holidays there. And one summer, while I was with my aunt after my mother passed, I was about 19 years old, and I decided to tell her that I had been abused by my grandfather, my mother's father. I didn't tell anyone previously. I tried to tell my parents at one point in time, but they reacted very poorly and asked me lots of scary questions. And my mother accused me of ruining her relationship with her father, so I recanted and told them that I lied and kind of kept it a secret after that. When I was 19 and told my aunt, I don't know why I chose to tell at that point in time, but I think it was because it was somewhere that I felt safe and loved and that she might understand me. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to tell anybody else. I didn't want the rest of the family to know. And so she encouraged me to get into counseling, and I did. And we kind of left it at that. About a year later, almost to the week, my sister became kind of daughter to my aunt and uncle. She moved in with them, and I got a call from my aunt. And she told me that my sister had told her that she'd been abused as well. I had no idea that my sister was being abused, just like she didn't know that I had been abused. At that point in time, we didn't want to pursue prosecution. We didn't want to pursue any criminal action, so we just confronted him as a family and asked that he get some kind of mental health counseling. Because of mandated reporting laws in the state of Georgia, they came to us and asked for interviews. I met with a detective, a very nice man, probably in his 50s, at the Athens-Clarke County Police Department. It was kind of scary. It was an interview room, and it had like a teddy bear in it and maybe some children's toys, but certainly not a warm and inviting atmosphere. And he asked me a lot of detailed questions, things that I had never talked about before in my entire life, and it made me very uncomfortable, and it was very scary. My sister, she was living in Houston, Texas at the time with my aunt and uncle, and they brought her to a children's advocacy center. When she went in, she said it was a really warm and inviting environment, and she felt safe. And she left after that interview feeling like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, felt like she had unburdened herself in a way that she never would have been able to. After that, my sister got into a program with the Children's Advocacy Center of Harris County, where she was able to meet with a counselor once a week for 3 years. Through that, my sister went from being someone who was in a very dark place, living a very reckless, rebellious lifestyle, doing some very dangerous things, to someone who is now a successful student at Texas A&M, who is working towards getting her master's degree, just completely turning around her life. And because of the CAC, because of what they did, what they offered her, she was able to heal. We learned that my mother had been abused. She had no way out. She tried to tell her mom, and her mom didn't listen. And she tried to come forward, and she didn't have an organization like the CAC that could empower her. She didn't have an organization that could stand up for her, that could help her. And because of that, she led a life of depression and anxiety, and ultimately caused her to die. That's why organizations like the CAC are so important, because the difference between my mom and my sister is, north to south. One was able to have that hope and empowerment and help. One was able to have an organization that gave them a chance at having a fulfilling life, and the other wasn't. When someone comes forward and tells their story, it's really important to let them know that you believe them, that you're sorry that it happened, that everything is going to be okay. There is hope, there is healing at the end of the tunnel. when someone comes forward, especially a young child, it's important not to ask too detailed questions. It's important not to try and guide their story. Let them say what they need to say, what they think is important. And then take them somewhere that they can have a professional ask them the right questions, that they can have someone who knows what they're doing, help them to feel unburdened and not more traumatized. Children, I think, they want to tell their story, they want somebody to know and understand, and I think often as adults this is something we don't want to think about, it's something that we don't want to talk about or to hear about, and so we brush it off, or we don't listen, or we react how my parents reacted and think there's no way this could have happened. That's not true. These children, they've experienced this, I experienced this, my sister experienced this, my mother experienced this, and when you don't listen, when we don't hear the children, when we don't tell our stories, they can have tragic results that are far-reaching in the future. They can leave somebody without hope, without a voice, without a chance at having a fulfilling life.